Woke capitalism is the ideology where the corporations get to lecture you about how to live your life. Companies no longer sell a product, they now have values that they hold dearly, and they would also demand that you hold as well. Now, here in Eastern Europe, we are bewildered by this concept because we have the church to lecture people about what's good and wrong, but in America, that's fine because they have the corporations. And it's going to be 2 more days until we're going to see the values that most of these companies have. Like, for example, did you know that Raytheon Missile Defense, a weapons manufacturing company, supports the LGBT? I mean, that's very important to know. So let's look at some other values that maybe we can learn something. Like, for example, the company Lululemon, which is selling overstretched yoga pants, has the value of safety. They want their employees to stay safe. And this value of safety is manifested into becoming a doormat, making absolutely sure that you do nothing in order to stop evil from taking place. You see, two of their employees, when facing themselves with two robbers, decided to actually intervene, and they tried to chase the robbers off of the premise, and they were rewarded with that by being fired. Isn't this progressive? I mean, isn't this a society where you would want to live in? A place where criminals get to do whatever they want and no one is allowed to stop them. See, I don't know about you, but when I hear about the robbery taking place, my first instinct isn't just to whoop up my smartphone and scan a QR code. No, I believe in something called justice and common sense, but apparently American corporations like Lululemon have a different approach. According to their brilliant employee handbook, they have a no-tolerance policy, which doesn't just extend to thieves, but also to the brave souls who dare to stand up against them. So let me get this straight, right? You got these employees, Jennifer Ferguson and Rachel Rogers, which witnessed a group of masked robbers waltzing into their store, pillaging the place, and instead of cowering in fear like good little corporate drones, they decided and had the audacity to yell at the thieves and chase them out of the store. And what do they get for their heroic efforts? Well, they get fired. But, don't worry. Apparently, Lululemon has the reasons. They claim it's all about safety and security. Of course, I mean, we cannot live in a society that has any type of danger, right? Like, we should ban skateboarding, we should ban mountain climbing, we should ban everything because we need to live in safety and security. It's interesting. Like, you get a lot of safety, security, free clothing, free healthcare in a maximum security prison, yet for some reason, no one wants to go there. So the company believes that the best way to keep their employees safe is to teach them to be passive doormats, as I mentioned before, clear the path for whatever they're going to do. That is what the handbook says, right? So just let people in. But this is not the reason why it appears they got fired. The reason that they got fired is because they had the audacity to call the police. You see, Lululemon prefers if people just doesn't talk about robberies at all. Like, it shouldn't make the headlines. They shouldn't discuss. Like, just let it happen. Just move on. So, imagine living in a society where most people believe that this is the case. I just want you to imagine how the crime rates would skyrocket. Like, what do the thieves believe when this makes national headlines? Like, now it is known that this particular company has a policy of telling employees to not do anything, to step out of the way. But not only that, not even call the cops. I would not want to live in such a society, honestly. Like, this to me looks like the American corporations care more about the criminals than the actual customers. I don't even know if it's a business that can be sustained this way, right? And when I say they don't care about the customers, like, imagine you're there in a store minding your own business, and you have to deal with this shit. You have mass people just coming in, just grabbing things, and obviously they're going to be very aggressive, right? Because like still don't want to be caught, so they're probably going to do a lot of pushing, shoving. As we get to see here, they started screaming with the employees saying, "Chill, bitch, shut your ass up." One of the thieves responds, according to Fox News. So what's interesting is that the police department actually did catch these criminals and charge them, which I guess they didn't get the memo from Lululemon, right? You're not supposed to charge them. You're supposed to preach safety. It's very interesting, right? Now, I do understand where Lululemon is coming from, to a certain degree, and overwhelmingly their fault. All right, but there is a little bit to blame on the culture, because we did see the media with the bike carrot, where if you call the cops, even when you're right, you can still have negative publicity done to you. However, I do not understand if this is a smart play. I mean, okay, how much money you're losing from negative publicity versus how much money you are losing from allowing people to just come in and rob the place. Because I assume this is happening quite often, because as we know, they're not going to talk about it when it does happen, but at the same time, it should happen often enough that they have a strict policy for it. Right? Like here in Romania, we do not have these policies because it just doesn't happen. The idea that people can just walk into a store and take stuff and run away, I'm pretty sure it may happen here or there, but it is incredibly rare. Like, we can go on our daily business without having to deal with this shit. It is possible, okay? Like, human societies can create a culture where this is considered unacceptable and other people do not steal. And do not give me the bullshit that is because of poverty. We have poverty here in Romania, yet people do not behave this way. It is unacceptable. You know, you behave this way in Romania, people will stop you and smack you over the head asking what the fuck is wrong with you. And there is no culture of safety. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. Because, again, we do have cases in the past where it has happened. Like, for example, with Starbucks, there was also two gentlemen which apparently were loitering and they wouldn't buy anything, so they were occupying a table. And the manager asked them to buy something or leave. And that was completely unacceptable. Beyond the pale. How dare you, sir? Refused to leave. Eventually, the cops were called. And it was a huge national scandal, okay? Like, a little store caused a national concern. The media was, like, posting articles after articles about this. Like, it was a fire at an orphanage or something. And of course, you know, Starbucks decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on teaching employees about diversity, equity, inclusion. They allowed the bathrooms to be opened and used by anyone, to the point where employees on Reddit were complaining that they were finding needles and other things and they were afraid for their safety. So now, recently, the CEO of Starbucks comes out and says, well, we can't do business in some neighborhoods. Because obviously, you know, you have the situation where most of the people who support this ideology, they're from the corporate environment. So, like, think about the guy dressed with a shirt, a nice bow tie, right? And he's middle class, and he works at a corporation. And, of course, they champion diversity, inclusivity, equity, all of that stuff, as long as it's far away from them. When they go have a Starbucks coffee, they don't want to see this, right? If they see the homeless person or the thug or anyone else that's over there next to them, they stop frequenting the place. And if you know how expensive the Starbucks coffee is, it makes sense that their actual clientele is going to be these individuals. Now, when you allow homeless people to go there, when you allow people that do not buy stuff to stay into your store, you're going to alienate your actual customer base. And on top of that, when people see that you are weak, they are going to take advantage. And of course, the CEO is coming up and is saying, oh, well, we can't do business because people are robbing our stores and there's nothing we can do about it. And the legislation in some states is to the nature that the cops can't do anything about it. I mean, recently, there's also a legislation that's being proposed to ban security guards from carrying guns. Like, it's almost like the politicians believe that their voter base, their primary way that they want to get votes from, are criminals. It's very disturbing. Let me know what you guys think, though, and I will be having a live stream right after this, and hopefully I will see you guys there. Take care.